Trying it again, doing the walk back. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar trying to soften her language after remarks that have been called anti-Semitic. The squad member herself, a former refugee, highlighting the historic ties between the black and Jewish communities in a series of tweets. Quote, fleeing war and persecution only to find a refuge in the United States of America is the Jewish American experience. This binds us. Of course, this comes just one day after she doubled down on her controversial remark. Oh, she talks in circles. Remember, she compared the United States to terrorist groups. Republican Congressman Lee Zeldin says he believes Omar needs to finally face some consequences. Jason Meister, former Trump Advisory Board member, Leslie Marshall, radio show host and Fox News contributor. Leslie and Jason, great to see you today. Jason, I'm going to begin with you and just get your top line thoughts on this with Omar.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Harris. Look, Ilhan Omar knows exactly what she's doing. There's a pattern here. And she's emboldened by Democratic Party's leadership and their inaction in reining in her and her squad's bigotry. She shouldn't be apologizing on Twitter. She should be expelled from Congress. Look at the pattern. She said it's all about the Benjamins, baby. She said Israel hypnotized the world. She's now saying that her Jewish colleagues are not partners in justice. She compared America and Israel to Hamas and the Taliban. Okay, so the real question comes down to, when is her party, the Democratic Party, and her constituents going to say enough is enough?
So, Leslie, every time I talk with someone from the left, they say, well, you know, we're a big tent. She can say what she wants. But clearly she can't, because somebody's talking with her and she keeps walking stuff back like, you know, she's about to back off a pier.
I think that she's looking at perhaps court of public opinion in addition to her constituency. But I would disagree with Jason here. She is an elected official. It is the voters in her constituency and in her district, in her state, that decide whether she stays or goes. She hasn't violated with free speech, which we all have via the First Amendment, even hateful speech, even speech that may be very distasteful to most of us, even in our party, my party, the Democrats, who certainly do not equate one of our top allies, Israel, with terrorist organizations such as Hamas or Hezbollah.
So real quickly, Leslie, then why didn't Democrats see the comments of, say, a Stephen King, former congressman, I should say, former committee-holding congressman, because the then GOP leadership definitely dealt with some of the things, the incendiary things that he was saying. I'm just curious to know why you see it one way for a member of your party, but not the same way for the members of the other party. A quick thought and we'll move on.
Oh, I would disagree. I mean, first of all, Stephen King had years of comments before anything was done by those in his party.
She's been saying this for quite some time.
And with regard to Ilhan, you've had Nancy Pelosi and you've had other members of Congress, and not just Jewish members of the House, come out and speak out against
not ripping her committees,
and these remarks. And that's why she continues,
All
I
right.
believe, to clarify what she has said, and also,
hasn't
as
cost her enough to say the words, I'm sorry. So nothing they're doing is costing her anything. All right, I'm going to get to this. The old photograph of hammer thrower Gwen Berry smiling with the U.S. flag, going viral now. This after she courted controversy by turning her back on the Stars and Stripes during Olympic trials. Critics are saying this exposes Gwen Berry as a big fraud. One tweet, it looks like her entire activist athlete bit is an act. Another says, looks like the American flag didn't offend Gwen Berry a few years ago. Jason?
Harris, she's clearly, from these new photos, she's a phony, she's a fake, she's a fraud, and she went woke to cash in, and she's probably trying to get a Nike deal. But the bigger question is, why do we reward those that disgrace our country, our national anthem, and our flag? That's the real question. And you have to understand, when she puts on her uniform and competes in the Olympics on the world stage, she doesn't just represent her people, she represents America and everything that she stands for. So if she doesn't like America, and she doesn't like the national anthem, and she doesn't like the American flag, and she thinks that we're systemically racist, then she shouldn't represent us in the Olympics.
Leslie?
I couldn't disagree more. One of the things that stands out about this country and makes the United States different than any other nation and greater than any other nation in the world is that you can turn your back on the flag, that you can turn your back on the anthem. I don't think this makes her anti-American or hypocritical.
Let me give you an example of how she might be anti-American.
I think that she changed her mind over time,
or
maybe
just
matured and
cameras.
changed her views. And quite frankly, this woman has won a bronze medal. She's in the Olympics. She's representing our nation, and we should support her. And even if we don't like what she is saying about the flag or saying about the anthem, support the freedom and her right to do it, because that's what makes America great and makes us stand apart from every other nation in the world.
It's more, too, about the other two Americans on that dais. You know,
that's right.
Price and Anderson deserve their moment, not to be robbed by a moment that we're not even sure if she's sincere about. Jason?
Yeah, Harris, you're 100% right. She's stealing attention from, frankly, those that came in first and second and actually beat her. But the bigger point is, why, if you don't like America, why would you ever represent her? That's what the biggest problem I have is, why are we putting athletes on world stages if they disgrace and hate America? That's the problem.
And as I said, Leslie, the example that I was going to give is just that it feels un-American not to even care about your other Americans. Your last quick thought.
Well, I wouldn't say it's un-American. It's certainly attention-grabbing. There's no question about that. But I don't think if you don't like something about something, whether it's a flag or a nation, you throw the baby out with the bathwater. I don't agree with my husband 100% of the time, but I'm not going to divorce him because we don't agree 100%.
Well, he's a great guy.
I love my country. I don't agree with everything that happens in my country, and I certainly don't agree with everything that's happened in the history of this nation. But I love it, and I'm proud of it. And I believe that she is too. And we should be proud of our athletes, again, even if we're not always proud of some statements they might make politically that we disagree with.
Well, that great guy that you married, of course. Both of you have such beautiful families. Well, look, as we move on this, the Olympic judges, not the judges necessarily, but that panel, they're not going to put up with this sort of thing from any country. So we'll have to see what happens when she actually gets to Tokyo. All right, good to see you both. Thank you.